What is up guys, Joe here. Today we have a slightly different type of video to what you're used to seeing on my channel. In this one we will take a look at the future of cycling using Pro Cycling Manager. So I will simulate forward to see what unfolds in the cycling world, who wins the Grand Tours, who wins the monuments, and just see how things play out. So today we will take a look at the first 2 years, so 2019 and 2020, and then we will simulate further forward in the next few episodes. Also, you will notice I am in Pro Cyclist mode. That is simply because it will be quicker to simulate forward than using career modes. And so you can see we're now on the rider overview screen, and you will notice that I am using a post Tour de France database. So the likes of Egan Bernal have very good stats after his Tour de France win. We also have Pinot looking very good, but then the likes of Romain Bardet, they've taken a hit, so they're not as good now. So hopefully we'll have some really realistic results moving forward. And one other thing guys, if we go to the rider overview screen, you can see contract on Egan Bernal 2023. So I've actually added the real life contract lengths. So Geraint Thomas 2021 to Ineos, Kruijswijk at Lotto Jumbo Visma, he's on 2021. And someone like Mathieu van der Poel, he's committed to Corendon, so he's 2022. So we shouldn't see any crazy rider transfers that wouldn't happen in real life. So we're not going to see Bernal moving away from Ineos in season 1. So hopefully that will make it more realistic. Before we start, I do want to have a quick look at the best riders in some of these attributes. So we can see the best mountain riders right here, Bernal, Carapaz and Pinot looking very good. The best hill riders, Alaphilippe and Fuglsang by a mile at the moment. The best time trialists, we have Rowan Dennis and Victor Campenaerts. Guys like Roglic and Dumoulin, of course, are just behind. The best cobble riders, we have Van Aert, Sagan and Gilbert on 81. You can see the other cobble riders right here. The best sprinter at the moment is Groenewegen, but obviously we have Viviani, Gaviria, you know all the guys, Caleb Ewan, Ackerman, Peter Sagan is right here as well. And one more thing guys, you can see I've turned my riders attributes right down, so we're only a 65 overall. You can see our potential isn't very good either, to be honest, so hopefully that won't influence the results too much going forward. And so one more point before we start simulating forward guys, I do want to say go and check out my good friend Mr. PCM. He's doing a very similar series to this, simulating forward to see what the future of cycling looks like. But his videos are in French, so if you prefer to watch in French, go and check him out. So we have now forwarded to June 2019 and the end of the Giro d'Italia, and you will see I am on Geraint Thomas. He had to withdraw from the race and he was actually leading the race with a few stages to go, but that means Mikel Landa won his first Grand Tour just ahead of Simon Yates and Pozzovivo on the podium. Very good result for him. Quintana 4th and Chris Froome in 5th. But yeah, Movistar getting the win. Very strong team with Landa, Quintana, Carapaz, who of course won this in real life. Also Marc Soler, who's developing really well. In the sprint jersey was Dylan Groenewegen, and the KOM winner was Ciccone, just like real life. So we've now moved over to the overview screen, and as you can see, Landa winning his first Grand Tour, as I've already mentioned. Let's take a look at some of the other races though. Pinot winning Santos Tour Down Under. Marc Soler winning Tirreno Adriatico and the Tour de Romandy. He's becoming a very good rider. As we can see, 80 mountain already. Carapaz getting the win at Catalunya as well for Movistar, few wins for them, and Emmanuel Buchmann getting a great win for him in Spain. Now moving forward to the monuments, you can see Arnaud Démare winning, I believe, his second Milan-San Remo. Matteo Trentin winning the Tour of Flanders, great result for him, ahead of Mathieu van der Poel. Wout van Aert winning Paris-Roubaix, very good rider. I expect he'll win this at least once in his career in real life. And then Pello Bilbao winning Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Not sure I can see this happening, to be honest. So a quick look at some of the other classics. We can see Mollema winning Flèche Wallonne, E3 won by Wout van Aert as well. Let's go forward now to the end of the season and we can take a proper look at everything in more detail. So I thought I'd quickly show you the results of the 2019 Tour de France. We have Chris Froome winning by 2 minutes ahead of Tom Dumoulin, Roglic in 3rd and Pinot just behind him in 4th. Geraint Thomas defending his title, he came 5th. Kind of a role reversal from the 2018 with Froome and Thomas. You can see all the other GC guys right here. And then in green, we have Gaviria winning green just ahead of Démare and Degenkolb. No Peter Sagan this Tour de France, it would seem. Lilian Calmejane wins the polka dot jersey. and it is Kasper Asgreen just taking the white jersey ahead of Leonard Kamner. Right, we have now arrived at the end of La Vuelta a España 2019 and Wout Poels has won for Team Ineos. I actually don't believe this. How has he beaten Simon Yates, the defending champ, and Tom Dumoulin? Marc Soler, the new rising star it seems, in 4th, Nibali 5th, Lopez 6th, Landa, Kruijswijk in the top 8 as well. But Wout Poels, he beats them all. What a ride by him. And Poels actually won the green jersey as well ahead of Yates. Won the KOM competition as well. Lopez won the white jersey. Oh my word, what a ride by Wout Poels. We now have the results of the upcoming World Champs in Leeds this year in the UK. We can see Dylan Groenewegen gets the win. Quite surprising actually. In real life, I don't think he'll be able to get to the end in the front group. But it seems in this simulation we do have a bunch sprint with Groenewegen beating Viviani and Caleb Ewan. He'll wear the rainbow bands. And in the time trial, Soren Kragh Andersen actually defeats Rowan Dennis and Campenaerts. Really good result by this guy, only 25 and 37 seconds clear ahead of Dennis. What a result for him. So guys, we have now reached the end of season 1. We are in October 2019 and on the screen you can see the 3 Grand Tour winners and jersey winners, but we've already seen these, so let's move on to the other tours. And what did we get up to? I think we got up to the Dauphiné. So Thomas won the Dauphiné, then De Gent won the Tour de Suisse. Very surprising result there. Marc Soler won the Tour de Poland. So he's won the Tour de Poland, Tirreno Adriatico and the Tour de Romandy. What a season for Marc Soler. Looks like he's going to be the next big talent in cycling. And then Thomas De Gent winning the Bink Bank Tour as well. That's a race you would expect him to win over the Tour de Suisse. We've seen the World Championships, Groenewegen and Soren Kragh Andersen, the World Champions. And then we have a few national champions. I don't know why they don't show all the World Champions, but at least we can get to see a few right here. And then the final monument of the year, Il Lombardia, was won by Alexei Lutsenko, getting his first monument. And now a quick look at the other classics. We can see Thibaut Pinot, he won Classica San Sebastian, a very good win for him there. Gaviria getting a win in Germany. Theo Gegenhardt getting a win. Maybe he's developing into a very good rider. Then Roglic and Dan Martin getting wins as well. So now let's have a look at the rankings for the season. So Chris Froome is the leader of the points, individual points classification, just ahead of Dumoulin and Thomas. Marc Soler in 4th and Pinot in 5th. This shows how good a season Marc Soler has had and what a good rider he is becoming. In the Continental, Christophe Laporte and Tim Merlier, they wrapped up all the points basically over there. Super Prestige, I think this combines Continental and World Tour races, but we can see Thomas seems to be the best rider on the season overall, just ahead of Groenewegen and Chris Froome. You can see all the riders down here. You can kind of pause and take a look if I'm missing anyone out that you wanted to see. So Lutsenko 31st after his win in Il Lombardia. Next up, let's have a look at the team classifications. We can see Ineos destroying everyone with over 15,000 points. Jumbo-Visma and Movistar in 2nd and 3rd. The lowest in the World Tour was Katusha and Dimension Data. Very poor seasons for them. Let's go to Super Prestige, see who won it. It was Ineos as well. Cofidis seemed to be the best Conti Pro team, so maybe they'll be in the World Tour next season. And it does look like Dimension Data and maybe even CCC, they could go down to Conti Pro with perhaps Direct Energy coming up as well. And with regards to wins, it was Dylan Groenewegen with 20 wins on the season. What a rider. What a season he's had. Riders like Crader, Machete and Halvorsen getting a lot of wins as well. They'll probably be in lesser races. Lopez and Carapaz having very good seasons here as well. Again, if you want to see anyone, you can pause as I scroll down. And now having a look at the teams with the most victories. Usually you would expect to see Deceuninck Quickstep getting all the wins really. Only 31 though, and Ineos on 62 wins. Very surprising indeed actually. Ineos having double the wins of Quickstep. So we now have a quick look at the team index looking ahead to next season, and it does look like Corendon Circus are going to come into the World Tour, replacing Dimension Data. So they've beat Direct Energy and Cofidis to that World Tour spot it seems. So look at this, I've had a quick look at the exploits page and Wout Poels, actually only the 3rd rider ever to win the overall, the points and the climber classification at La Vuelta. Unbelievable ride by him. Right, we are now in October and all of next season's transfers have now taken place. So Mikel Landa is moving back to Astana, Degenkolb to Deceuninck Quickstep, Viviani back to Ineos, Rowan Dennis moving to Trek Segafredo after that bust up with the Bahrain management, Bilbao to Movistar, Jan Hurt to Leopard, very strange move there. Garner, who's a very good young time trialist, he's gone to Trek Segafredo, Halvorsen to Jumbo-Visma, and Bonifacio to EF Education First. And so now I will scroll through all the team transfers slowly, and you can just see them all. You can see Kittel going to Astana. But yeah, I am thinking about maybe making a few real life transfers. For example, Quintana to Arkea Samsic and Nibali to Trek Segafredo. These are transfers that have basically been announced at the time of recording this in real life. So I may make them manually myself, so then they appear in game. That could be quite fun to make it more realistic. But yeah, let's just scroll through and see all the transfers. Bilbao to Movistar. You can see all their moves right here. You can see Dimension Data. They're going down to Pro, so they've lost a lot of good riders. You can see Carapaz. What a team Ineos have next season. Carapaz, Bernal, Thomas and Froome. What a team. Even the likes of Sivakov, Gegenhardt, they could win Grand Tours. Wout Poels has just won a Grand Tour. They've got an unreal team. Jumbo-Visma still looking very good. Dumoulin chosen not to join them as rumoured in real life. Elisonde has gone to Katusha, and you can see a few more right here. Lamatic, Aronsman's a very good young climber. He's gone to Sunweb. And then Trek Segafredo, a few good transfers with Dennis and Garner, losing Degenkolb. So they're focusing more on time trials now. And then finally, UAE get Cataldo. No real big moves for them though. And then I have had a quick look at Conti Pro. I'll scroll through very quickly. You can pause on a team if there's one you're particularly interested in. But I have had a quick look already. I don't think there's any major moves I should really point out. So quickly before getting into next season, we can see Chris Froome is the star of the year. Groenewegen second and Landa third. I think that's fair looking at the results. Alright guys, here we are at the start of season 2, and I thought the best way to kick this season off would be to look at the best riders in the world right now. So 81, we have Julian Alaphilippe, clearly the best rider in cycling at the moment. Then we have Caleb Ewan, Van der Poel and Carapaz on 80, a few guys on 79, and then a bunch of guys on 78 and 77. If you want to see a specific rider, you can pause, take a look, but there we go, down to 75. And now the best flat riders, we have Niels Pollitt and Yves Lampaert. And the best mountain riders, we have Carapaz and Lopez. I'm surprised Bernal hasn't reached at 83 just yet, but you can see some guys are coming up. Hugh Carthy on 80 already. The best punchers, we have Julian Alaphilippe by a mile on 84 Hill. Fuglsang's 82, and then we have Formulo and Schachmann who have come up slightly now on 80 Hill. The best time trialists in the world, obviously Søren Kragh Andersen is the world champ, but we have Dennis, Kung and Campenaerts who are on an 80 just above him. Best cobble riders, we have Wout van Aert on 82, then we have Sagan and Van der Poel just behind, and then you can see the rest of the guys. And the best sprinters in the world, we have Gaviria, followed by Gaviria with Groenewegen and Caleb Ewan on 82. A few guys on 81 just behind, and a few younger guys are coming up, the likes of Christopher Halvorsen now. And quickly looking at the team page, we can see we now have Corendon Circus in the World Tour. You can see the Continental Pro lineup right here, and the Conti teams, of course, just behind. I will scroll through the teams very quickly for you, so you can have a quick look at them going into 2020. So guys, we have reached the end of the first Grand Tour of the season, the Giro d'Italia. And as you can see, Richard Carapaz takes the win by just 13 seconds ahead of his teammate Egan Bernal. And we can actually see, if we go to the final real stage, Carapaz won the Giro on this stage from Egan Bernal, who was in the pink jersey at that stage. So really dramatic race. Nibali finishing third and denying Ineos a 1-2-3. You can see Yates, Quintana, Bookman here in the top 10. And we can start to see a few guys like Kamna and Pogačar, a few young guys starting to come through here. Carapaz also won the green jersey ahead of Caleb Ewan, who was apparently the best sprinter in the race. You can see the KOM winner was Andrea Vendrame for Androni. Great win for them, and also denying Carapaz the trio of GC, green jersey and the KOM jersey. The winner of the white jersey was Egan Bernal, but I doubt that is any consolation for losing to your teammate by just 13 seconds. So guys, as you can see, we have reached the end of the 2020 Tour de France and Chris Froome getting yet another win in this competition. The man is just about unbeatable. He beats Thibaut Pinot by a minute and a half. Tom Dumoulin in third place, and you can see Bennett and Gaudu rounding out the top 5. The Yates brothers were in the top 10, 9th and 10th. And then in the green jersey, Caleb Ewan beats Fernando Gaviria. Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel were in the top 5. And then in the KOM competition, Warren Barguil beats David Gaudu, who also won the white jersey. So I did want to bring you guys up to date with this email I've just received. Difficulties for Team Ineos. A lot of people would be celebrating that, although I can't really see it happen. Same for Quickstep. So basically the two best teams in the world seem to be getting weaker. So maybe this signifies a changing of the guard in cycling. So we have now reached the end of La Vuelta a España, and you can see that Richard Carapaz has won his second Grand Tour of the season for Team Ineos. Him and the team seem to be completely unbeatable at the moment. Mikel Landa was second and Nibali in third. Bernal and Lopez, two Colombians, rounding out the top 5. You can see Higuita now in the top 10, the 23-year-old, now 81 mountain, becoming a very good rider indeed, it would seem. In the sprint competition, Carapaz beat Matthews and Ewan. The mountain competition was won by Gianluca Brambilla, just ahead of Landa, Yates and Chavez. And the young rider competition won by Egan Bernal. So quickly, before we get to the end of the season, we have the World Championships, and Dan Martin will wear the rainbow bands for Ireland, beating Madouar, Haig, Uman and Adam Yates, who are in that second group. So a pretty surprising race in Italy. And then in the ITT, Chad Hager defeats Soren Kragh Andersen, who obviously held it from last season. So the American will wear the rainbow bands next season. And you can already see in this top 10, we have guys like Schwartz, who I think is generated, and this Polish guy, just 21 years old. Quite a few young riders now coming through to the fore. So we can see the Grand Tour standings of the season. We've already seen these though. Carapaz with 2, Froome with 1, so 3 for Ineos altogether. Let's take a look at some of the other tours. So here we are, we can see Tom Dumoulin won Santos Tour Down Under. Carapaz with a few wins, really unbelievable season for him. Fuglsang won a race, so did Pinot. Enric Mas won the Tour de Romandie. We have Bookman win the Tour de Suisse. Roglic won in Poland, and Mathieu van der Poel won the Bink Bank Tour. We've already seen the World Champs. We have Dan Martin and Chad Hager, the World Championships, ahead of next season. We have a few national champions for you right there. And now, taking a look at the monuments this season, Peter Sagan won Milan-San Remo. I am so happy to see this. He finally gets his win here after so many years of coming so close. Wout van Aert actually gets the double of Tour de Flanders and Paris-Roubaix. Unbelievable rider he is. Thomas de Gent has actually won LBL after Pello Bilbao won it last season. So I don't know what's going on this race, but I think he must have won it from a breakaway. Julian Alaphilippe wins Il Lombardia. And now, taking a look at the other classics, we have Peter Sagan getting a few wins. Julian Alaphilippe won Amstel Gold. Carapaz won La Flèche Wallonne. Pinot won San Sebastian. We have Gaviria, Galopin, Mollema and Primož Roglic also getting wins. And it also seems we do have some new exploits this season. Richard Carapaz has won the Giro and La Vuelta in the same season. Only the 4th man to ever do that, behind Merckx, Battaglin and Contador. What a list to be a part of. And if we also go to this one, we have Caleb Ewan winning stages of each Grand Tour in the same season. Only the 4th man ever to do that. So now let's take a look at the rankings of the riders throughout the season. And you can immediately see Richard Carapaz with an unbelievable season. Pretty much, I think that's double the points of anyone else. Maybe not Froome, but everyone else, I think. What a season Carapaz has had. You can see his season right here. Of course, winning 2 Grand Tours. 3rd in LBL. He won Tirreno Adriatico, which I didn't notice. He's won a few other tours as well. Unbelievable season for Carapaz. We have the likes of Froome and Yates in 2nd and 3rd. And if we move over to Super Prestige, we can still see Carapaz well on top. He seems to be the best rider in cycling right now. Now I've moved over to Super Prestige, you can see Ineos still on top, unsurprisingly. I think that's the same top 3, but we can see Quite some changes now in the Conti Pro and the World Tour teams. Dimension Data, Cofidis and Wanty all making a statement trying to get in World Tour, while CCC, Katusha and Corendon all struggling. So I've moved over to the individual victories page. We can see Carapaz with 22 wins this season. That is unreal for a Grand Tour rider. Same with Caleb Ewan, he's had a really good season. Consini doing very well. And now moving over to the team victory standings, we can see Ineos on 62 wins, winning that as well. That's no surprise, to be honest. Jumbo-Visma and Bora were second and third again. So we have now reached the end of the transfer market in 2020 season 2, and as you can see, there have been some very big moves this off season. We have Dylan Groenewegen going to Katusha Alpecin from Jumbo-Visma. Pollitt has gone to UAE, Lopez and Primoz Roglic have gone to FDJ. I actually got a message in the emails saying that FDJ have a bigger budget, so they've now got Lopez, Roglic and Thibaut Pinot for the Grand Tours. We have Nibali going to Sunweb, Fuglsang to Trek Segafredo. Mikel Landa has actually gone to Jumbo-Visma. Same with Viviani after one season at Ineos. Narsson has gone to Katusha, and then Kung and Degenkolb have gone to Bahrain Merida. So guys, there have been a lot of transfers. I've had a quick look through, so I think it would be good to go through all the World Tour teams and take a look at their signings and their teams ahead of next season. So, Agitoile Mondial, they've brought in Terpstra, who is now very old, with Elisonde, lost some good riders, but you can see all their signings right there. Made some nice signings actually. If we go on to Astana, they've lost a lot of good riders, you can see, and not really brought anyone in. They were one of the teams who have lost some funding for next season. If we go to Bahrain Merida, they've brought in Kung, Dennis and John Degenkolb. Some very nice signings, but they have lost Vincenzo Nibali, changing from a GC team to more of a time trialing team, I would say. Bora Hansgrohe have brought in Guilherme Martin, good signing for them. CCC, no real big signings. Nick Schultz is a good young rider though. Corendon Circus, no big signings, but they do still have Matthew van der Poel, who's now 81 overall. And now, De Koning Quickstep. Obviously, these were one of the teams who lost funding, as you saw earlier, which does mean they've lost John Degenkolb, but perhaps more importantly, Remco Evenepoel, the young talent. He's gone to Jumbo-Visma. He's got a big new contract with them. They've brought in a few young riders, but no one really to replace Remco, I don't think. Now Education First, we have Dion Smith and Marisa. They've lost some good riders though by the looks of it. And now Groupama FDJ, as you can see, some massive signings. Miguel Angel Lopez, Primoz Roglic, also Teo Gegenhardt to go with David Gaudu and Thibaut Pinot. These guys are going for the Grand Tours. What a team they have now going into next season. If we go to Lotto Soudal, they have Ben King. This guy seems to be generated, but he seems to be a very good rider, I have noticed. So not the biggest transfer window for Lotto Soudal. Mitchelton Scott haven't really signed anyone of note, maybe Vlasov, he's a decent young climber. Matthias Frank is quite old now. And then moving on, we have Movistar. They haven't really made any moves at all. Still got Soler, Quintana and Valverde as their leaders. They brought in Demarchi and Gorka. Team Ineos, and I don't really know what's going on with Carapaz. I guess he hasn't decided which team he's going to yet, but obviously Ineos were one of the teams that have lost some funding, so they've lost Viviani, Teo and Stannard with a few others, and haven't been able to bring anyone in. So maybe that means some teams will have a great chance of challenging them next season, but they still have Egan Bernal, Froome and Thomas with the likes of Sivakov and Sosa. So still probably the strongest team in the GC world. Jumbo-Visma have Landa, Viviani and Remco, great signings for them, but they did lose Roglic, Groenewegen and De Plus. And it seems to have been a great transfer window for Katusha. They've brought in Dylan Groenewegen, Ollie Narsson and Lawrence De Plus with some other good riders. They did lose Pollitt, but definitely a very strong window for them. Sunweb have brought in Nibali. They did lose Wilco Kelderman though, who seems to be back to his best somewhat. And then Trek Segafredo, they've brought in Fuglsang, Conti and Caruso. They did lose Dennis and Moschetti though, and it does seem Richie Porte has now retired along with Gaspar Rotto. And then finally, I think UAE have brought in Nils Pollitt, Hugh Carthy and Patrick Conrad, some other good climbers as well, but they did lose Jasper Philipsen to Direct Energy. So I thought I'd show you some of the best Conti Pro teams. You can see Arkea Samsic, they've lost their young talent in Elie Gasper, but they have brought in Rigoberto Urán to lead them in the Grand Tours with Warren Barguil, some very good climbers now at Arkea. Dimension Data have made some good signings with Clark and Amador. And then if we go to Direct Energy, they now have Jasper Philipsen, one of the best young sprinters in the world. Also Dillier, few good signings for them. This guy's a good young climber, I believe. And then if we go forward, Vital Concept, no real big signings. But Wanty Group Gobert, they've brought in Millard, Moschetti and Wilco Kelderman. Very good transfers for them. So let's have a quick look at the team index, and you can see ahead of next season, it does look like Deceuninck Quickstep, Ineos and Jumbo-Visma will remain the best teams in the World Tour. So unsurprisingly guys, Richard Carapaz wins Star of the Year, Chris Froome second and Dan Martin in third after winning the World Championships. Right guys, you can see we have now reached the beginning of 2021 Season 3, and of course we'll continue this in the next episode, but you can see, just to recap, Landa, Froome and Pouls won the Grand Tours in the first season, and then we had Carapaz, Froome again winning the Tour de France and Carapaz winning the Vuelta. So a few questions going into the next episode. Will Ineos continue to be so dominant? Will Froome continue to win the Tour de France season after season? Will the likes of FDJ, now with Lopez, Pinot, Roglic and Gaudu, start to challenge in these Grand Tours and start to win them? And will any new talent start to come through and really dominate world cycling? So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this one. Drop a like and a comment down below for me if you did. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you're new. Check out Mr. PCM if you're more interested in watching in French. And I'll see you guys for episode 2.